All right, happy welcome to Hump Day episode 414. Pretty good here today in Austria. Nice weather. It's incredibly warm this spring. Quite good. Adam is making Asia unsafe. I think he's in Bangkok or the SEO capital, whatever that was in Thailand. And yeah, like other than that, we're pretty heavy working on improving our SEO services. So like there are quite a couple updates coming the next couple weeks, and yeah, especially for our local Fury members. We will have a really exciting webinar coming up in 2 weeks, and yeah, I can't wait to show that to everyone then. Bradley is here as well today, as usual. How are you doing today?
What's up, man? I'm good. I'm good. Busy as all hell as usual, but I'm here nonetheless. So glad to be here.
As usual. Cool. Were there any interesting updates on the mastermind this week?
There always are. So yes, the answer is always going to be yes when you ask that question. Yeah, well, last week on Thursday, I released the updated content mirroring method. So we have that. I released that during the mastermind webinar on Thursday, and then I uploaded the webinar replay on Friday, and I realized that I hadn't posted the content mirroring method SOP or training in the Facebook group. So I just did that yesterday. So that's available now. That is a component of what I taught at for POFU Live, which is what I call rank and rent mastery, which is about developing lead gen assets that do not require Google Business assets. If you have it, great. You can plug that right in, and it really works well when you have a Google Maps listing or profile, Google Business profile, but it's a whole method that doesn't require them. So anyway, part of that is the updated content mirroring method, which has evolved since last year. Around this time last year, well, and about a month from that, well, less than that, around this time last year is when I had developed or released the first version of the content mirroring method, which relied on Google Business profile or had a Google Business profile as part of that. So I redid that for this year for my own business, but then that's what I taught about at POFU Live. That was part of it. So which does not require Google Business assets. Again, you can plug that in if you have it, but if you don't have it, it's an updated version of the content mirroring method that uses the money site, YouTube, Blogger, Cloud Pages, and G sites. And so anyways, I just released that. That's going well. I've got a little bit more training that I'm still adding to the POFU Live stuff. Interestingly enough, though, Flowster, which is right here on our webinar page, they switched, and now they're no longer they'll do free accounts for up to 14 days, and that's it. Before, they had a free account level, and you could have I think up to 3 Flowster templates in your account at any one time. So people were able to use Flowster. Well, they switched it. Now it's only 14 days of free trial. So got to try to scramble and I've got so much freaking training in there that is fine for my agency. All of my agency and my team members at Semantic Links and everything else, we use Flowster for everything because I've got a full agency or enterprise account. That's fine. I'll continue using it. But I've been developing and producing training in Flowster because it works great for delivering training and also resources and everything else, and checklists and full SOPs if I want. And but that was hoping that people would be able to have a free level account. And then if they get serious about their business and they want to upgrade so that they have all the functionality that Flowster can provide, then they can upgrade. And that was kind of the whole point of that. But apparently Flowster changed what they are doing to now where it's requiring people to have paid accounts. And I'm not going to require people to have paid accounts to get our training. So we've got to try to transfer everything into a new platform, which is going to be an enormous amount of work. I wish I would have known this was coming. I would have never done it, but it is what it is. So some mastermind members are already upgrading to paid accounts so they can continue getting the training until we get everything moved over. But it's one of those things you just got to kind of roll with the punches. But yeah.
Yeah, well, leave it in the past. Better move on next.
Yeah. Well, speaking also real quick, just to mention a follow up on what you said about Local Fury. Yeah, I'm going to do a training webinar on Monday, the 31st. So Halloween. a training webinar for all current and past Local Fury customers to talk about the audit process that now for new members that join Local Fury, there is an onboarding fee, which covers consultation, because my team will do a full audit of the project that you want to submit or projects that you want to submit, do full backlink analysis, entity audits, on-page analysis, all of that. Then we get on a one-on-one call, a Zoom meeting, and I will review the audited, the reports essentially, with you, and then lay out the plan. So make sure that there's proper keyword selection. Make sure that, if there's any on-page issues or entity issues that need to be resolved, I'm going to point that out and address that, because all the signals in the world aren't going to help if you've got entity problems, or if you've got on-page issues, or if you've got off-page problems like no backlinks or shitty backlinks or too many backlinks or over-optimized anchor text ratios. There's a number of things. What I'm trying to say is we have implemented for Local Fury an onboarding fee, which covers all of the setup, all of the report generation, and in my time, plus the one-on-one consultation. But for existing customers that don't have that, it's just no way that I can provide that to everybody without the setup fee to cover our costs. There's just no way it can be done. So instead of me doing one-on-one calls for everybody that has already previously joined, I'm going to do a training webinar where I'm going to go through a full audit process. I'll just use one of my own assets and we'll go through an entire audit process that I will prepare ahead of time. And then on the webinar, we're going to go through. I'm going to explain exactly the process that I go through to audit the entity for a local entity, essentially, which again covers the entity itself, on-page optimization, site structure, content, internal linking, off-page, backlinks, the backlink profile, anchor text ratios, all of that, citations, because we're talking about map stuff. So data consistency is important. I'm going to cover all of that in a training webinar so that all of our existing customers at Local Fury can understand what they can do on your end as a customer to determine, and guys, it'll be highly valuable. Like whether you're a Local Fury customer or not, the whole point that I'm trying to make is going through this audit process so that you know what to analyze and what to look for, so that you can strengthen the local entity for your clients. You're going to get better results, period. So we're going to do that on 2 weeks at 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday, October 31st. So all of you that before you start freaking out and sending in support tickets, if you are a current or former Local Fury customer, you will get notifications and registration details for that webinar within the next few days. Okay.
Honestly, I think it's absolutely priceless. Like it's $4.97 at the moment, the onboarding fee, but like it's a gift. When I remember when I started out with SEO, right, this is exactly what I needed, because there was like fumbling. Am I doing the right thing? Do I also need to do this on the backlinking end side? Do I have everything optimized? Do I also want to send like these signals over there? Do I add more backlinks? Is this the correct thing, what I'm doing? And then like all those questions, countless courses, still confused. Like literally, like if I would think back, this would have been the exact thing that I would have needed, that I would have wanted when I buy a service, or like buy an SEO service from anyone. And like, I don't know, to me, it's an absolute gift. Anyways, also it's been a while, but you can still get access to the Proof of Live recordings. I'll post the link in the chat. So if you missed out on Proof of Live, or are interested on the working procedures and what Bradley talked there, or like any of our other speakers, get it now while it's still available. So I can highly recommend it. We had a lot of fun. And yeah, get it while you can. Do we have any other topics to discuss today before we jump into everything?
Yeah, a big one. 2 weeks from today is our 8-year Hump Day Hangouts anniversary. So we did a big kind of promotion for our 400th episode, but because that's just a nice round number. But 52 times 8 equals 416. There's 52 weeks in a year, just to provide some context. So our 8-year anniversary, 8 freaking years strong of doing this every single week. And there's only in 8 years, there has only been 2 Wednesdays that we have missed Hump Day Hangouts, and they were both scheduled weeks off. like we had scheduled it ahead of time. We have never missed a single Hump Day Hangout unintentionally, right? We've only missed 2 in 8 freaking years. So guys, that talk about consistency. There's a lack of that in the SEO industry. I can tell you that. But goddamn, we've been consistent. And again, I'm really excited about that. That's a milestone in my own mind for me. I think that's quite an accomplishment. 8 years that we've been at this every single week. We're still here, guys. You know what I mean? So, and here's to another 8 years. You know what I mean? God willing. So, anyways,
all right, cool.
Just be aware, guys. Next week we'll announce. I guess we always do something big for our big milestone episodes. Again, we did a bunch of stuff for the 400th episode, but 416 is the actual 8-year anniversary. So we'll do some stuff for that as well. It'll be worth it. If you attend live, you'll have the opportunity to win prizes and things like that. So just make sure you're there in 2 weeks. It's really important. I know a lot of people watch these on replay. I get it. It's fine. That's precisely why we do it the way that we do it. But if you can attend those kind of like big Hump Day Hangout events, like 400th episode or now the 416, that kind of stuff, attend, because that's how you get opportunities. First of all, just to engage with us, which we appreciate, but also you have an opportunity to win prizes and like one-on-one consultations with me, like things like that. So just make sure you're there.
Sounds good. Perfect.
All right. I think we can get into questions. Is that correct?
On mine, yes. We're good to go.
Good to go.
Yes.
All right.
We're good.
All right. I think we're starting with this one.
Yep.
I'm just going to go with that one. All right. So, hey, what anchor do you recommend nowadays as the tier 1? Is it somehow correct that 60 to 70% just brand name and naked URLs, 15% generic, 5% exact match, and what this should be for a simple blog site? Okay. So let me pause for just a minute. I'm going to pause the screen while I open up a workbook, guys. I'm going to show you guys an example of something. I teach this in the mastermind. So this is not something that I'm going to go super in depth with right now about this, because it's not, I teach this in the mastermind specifically, but I do want to give you guys a kind of a high level overview on this. So just give me a minute. I'm just opening up. Let's go with this one. I don't care. I've got to be careful about what I share, because I tend to get negative SEO'd when I share stuff sometimes. So, which I don't understand why. All I try to do is provide value. And yet there's just people out there that are shitty, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to give you guys an example here. This is an old report. It has not been updated anytime recently, but it's from a lead gen asset. I can show this to you. I know you're not seeing my screen. Just give me 1 minute. All right. So to get back to the question, you're now seeing my screen, correct, Chris?
Yes, but now we're talking. Yep.
Okay. All right. So I just want to clarify something, guys. That a blanket formula, I'm going to give you some guidelines, some rules of thumb here that you can use, but a blanket kind of formula for anchor text ratios is never correct, never proper. And the reason why is because it's going to vary. Every search query is going to vary the results. And if you're doing local, the same search query, but in different locations, it's going to vary too as to what the proper anchor text ratios are. So I'll be 100% transparent. I always give credit where credit is due. I learned this technique from Matt Diggity, which was for affiliate SEO stuff, but I tested it for weeks with a lot of my own lead gen assets and everything, and clients, to see if if his kind of method for determining proper anchor text ratios would apply to local. And damn if it didn't. It works fantastic. So I went ahead and created an Excel sheet that you're looking at here. Let me just rearrange this stuff a little bit. I created an Excel workbook. If you're a mastermind member, I've already posted about this in the mastermind. It's a pinned post in the featured section of our Facebook group. You guys have access to this. I've covered many, many times exactly how to populate all this sheet with all the data, where to get the data and everything else. So this has been covered multiple times in the mastermind. I'm not going to cover the whole process here. That wouldn't be fair to our mastermind members, but I will cover it high level or conceptually. Okay. But the thing that I'm trying to point out here is a blanket formula is never a good idea, because every search query is going to be different. if it's local, you're going to now also include locations. So the same search query searched in 2 different locations is going to return different results. The anchor text ratios are going to be different. There are some similarities that I see over and over and over again across all different types of local projects. Remember, guys, all I do is local. So I'm going to be talking about this in the context of local, but it also, again, this method of determining anchor text ratios I got from Matt Diggity, and it absolutely applies to local as well. Okay. So we're going to cover again what it is that, how I determine this here. But in this case, you can see at the bottom that at the bottom, the sheet is named Tree Service Winchester, VA. So that's the keyword that was used to determine what the top ranked competitors are, and then what their anchor text ratios are. So we always start with analyzing the 3 target, I say the three tier 0 assets, the target assets, which would be, and I say 3 tier 0 for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. When we're talking about a local entity, somebody knocking on my door. Well, they're just going to have to keep knocking. When you're talking about a local entity, a local project, there are, if it has a Google business asset or profile associated with it, then there are really 3 components, potentially 3 components: the money site or the self-hosted website, the Google business website, if you publish it, which you should, and the Google map, which if you have a Google business profile, you have a Google map, a Google business map. Okay. So those are the 3 tier 0 assets. Those 3, what I call the holy trinity of the local entity. And I say that kind of as a joke, but it really is the truth, because those 3 components make up the local entity. Okay. So we always analyze those first. We look at the backlink profile to each of those. Specifically, when we're talking about the map, we're looking at the CID map URL, because the CID map URL is the only URL that you can push link equity into the map. Either that or the really long, ugly map URL that nobody ever links to. And by the way, I don't recommend building a lot of links to the CID map URL, guys. That's a spam signal. Don't do that. Like, nobody even knows how to get the CID map URL except for SEOs. Okay. So what I mean by that is, bloggers and the regular people, civilians, they do not have, they don't know how to get the CID map URL, right? So the share URL, which is a 302 redirect, which means you can't push link equity with it, but it's still valuable, guys. You still want to have links built to that, because that is a natural looking link profile. So specifically when it comes to this, the reason why we analyze the CID map URLs is we want to know what kind of work has been done to that, what kind of links have been built to it, has it been spammed, all of that kind of stuff. So we're very, very careful about, or I'm very careful about building links to the CID map URL. There are strategic places where it makes sense to use the CID map URL, because the CID map URL has a company ID. That's what CID is for. That's like a machine ID. So it is valuable to place that link in specific locations. Okay. One of them, a good place for that, is if you've ever done structured data or schema for local businesses, you know that one of the types or designations that you can put in there is a has map attribute, right? Has map attribute. That's a good place for a CID map URL, again, because of the CID, the company ID, the machine ID, right? That's for the Google bot. The structured data schemas for the Google bot. So anyway, back to the question about anchor text ratios. We analyze these 3 assets to try to determine what the current anchor text ratios are for our target assets. We classify first of all, when we analyze the backlink profile, we look at only do follow links. We eliminate no follow links from the analysis. Why? Well, because no follow links are valuable for SEO. Anybody that tells you differently is wrong. No follow links are valuable for SEO, but the anchor text from no follow links does not affect anchor text ratios. So we eliminate no follow links from the analysis. Then what links are left, we then classify each one of those anchor texts into one of 5 categories. Brand/URL, the brand name is the anchor text, or the URL is the anchor. Another term for that would be a URL anchor or a naked URL, or what I call a compound anchor. A compound anchor is a brand name plus a keyword modifier, or brand name plus location modifier, or something like that. Okay, so that's the first category, anchor text category. Anchor text category number 2 is miscellaneous. Another term for that is generic. So that would be like click here, learn more, this site, this post, website, etc. You guys get that. Then a empty/frame anchor, which is category number 3. That is a redirect URL or an iframe or an embed or an image link, a backlink from a photo, an image link that does not contain alt text. If it has alt text, then the alt text is the anchor text. Does that make sense? Then there's target anchors. Target anchors are keyword plus location modifier. So that's keyword plus city, or city plus keyword, or keyword plus near me, or one of the variants of near me. So that's like nearby, around me, close to me, in my area, etc. All of those are all kind of considered location modifiers. So that's a target anchor, keyword plus location modifier. Lastly, a topic anchor is a keyword only. So product or service keywords without location modifiers. Does that make sense? So we then analyze all of the backlinks, do follow backlinks that are live, and we classify each one of the anchor texts into one of five categories. And that gives us what our current anchor text ratios are for the 3 tier 0 assets. Then for that same, then for the search query that we want to analyze competition for, we go down, just perform a search and then look at the organic ranked competitors and pull in the top 5 ranked organic competitors, like for like comparisons. What do I mean by that? Well, we're not analyzing the backlink profile of Yelp or Home Advisor or Lawn Starter or any of the big directory sites, because they play by an entirely different set of rules. What we want to compare our sites, our assets to, are other local business type sites, not big directory sites. Okay. So we pull in the top 5 ranked competitors. Most of the time we're going to find those on page 1. Sometimes we got to go back to page 2 to find a 5th competitor. And then we do the exact same process of analyzing their backlinks the same way that I just described for the target assets. So we eliminate no follow links. Then we classify each one of the remaining links into one of 5 anchor text categories, and we get our numbers, right? So, and when this sheet, which is an Excel workbook, again, you just plug these numbers in, all the formulas are already set up. It automatically creates all these pie charts and everything else. It's fabulous, because what this does is it gives us an average number of backlinks for the ranking URLs for that particular search query, which in this case was Tree Service Winchester, VA. Again, this is an older report, so these search results probably have shifted, and that was a mistake. I didn't mean to do that. So let me close that out. Anyways, this is an older report. So, but what I'm trying to say here is we have now an anchor text ratios that are averaged out. So each one of these has their own anchor text ratio, but it's all averaged out into this graph. This gives us an average number of backlinks to these ranking URLs for that particular search query, which we try not to exceed that when link building, if possible. Sometimes it's already been exceeded, so there's nothing you can do about it, but we try not to exceed that if possible. But what's more important than the number of links is the anchor text ratios. Because now think about this, guys, we're talking purely external backlink profile analysis. We are not looking at on page. We're looking at purely external backlink profile. But whatever they're doing, Google likes, or else these 5 companies would not be the top 5 ranked organic competitors that are local business competitors. Again, we're not talking about directory sites. So whatever they're doing as far as their backlink profile and their anchor text ratios, Google obviously likes it, or else they wouldn't be ranked. So we average those top 5 out so that we get a target that we can kind of like, or an anchor text ratio that we can model our own after. Does that make sense? It doesn't have to be exact, because this is just an average. Now, here is where some kind of rules of thumb, or whatever you want to call it, some guidelines come in that I want to describe. And this is one of the rare cases that I see something. Well, actually, no, this actually falls right in line with what I was just about to say. I manage, like, when I first started using this method for determining anchor text ratios, I was doing it almost exclusively for just tree service stuff for my own agency. This is before I started my link building business, guys. And then for my own lead gen assets, because I was testing, I'm sure I've talked about this before, but I had about 3 dozen lead gen assets that had been producing very, very well for me for years. I had about 3 dozen of them 2 years ago tanked. They weren't suspended, but they tanked in rankings. And so at the time, because all I cared about was maps ranking, for many years, I didn't give a shit about organic ranking at all. So I just cared about maps rankings. But then when I had a bunch of my, like, over 3 dozen lead gen assets that produced for me very well for years, they tanked in rankings. They did not get suspended, but they dropped in rankings. I had wished at that point that I had kept up with the organic ranking, because if I had, then I might have lost the maps ranking, but I still would have been generating leads from those assets, those locations, because I would have had organic ranking. So this is what kind of started this whole journey for me, was trying to figure out, okay, shit, I need to learn how to do organic SEO again for local, so that I can prevent this from happening. Well, first of all, recover my assets, and number 2, so that I can prevent this from happening. So ever since that point, which was in June of 2021, or 2020 or whatever. Anyways, it was a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever. I started kind of sharpening my skills for organic ranking for local projects as well. So what I'm saying is, when I started testing this on all my own lead gen assets and started seeing that it was indeed working really well, determining anchor text ratios, and in modeling my own sites after that, I started getting my results. So then I started doing it for some of my agency clients that aren't tree service contractors. I have some legacy clients that are in different industries, roofers, pest control, landscaping companies, etc. And sure enough, I was starting to see the same thing with them. So fast forward a few months into when I started my link building business, now I manage over 70 different locations for across all different industries in various countries, all local stuff. And what I found is by analyzing all these ranked competitors, what I see is 80%, the 80-20 rule here applies. 80% of the time, the top 5 ranked organic competitors have an average anchor text ratio in the brand/URL category between 40 to 60%. Does that make sense? So again, this one falls right in line with that. It's at 43% brand anchors is the anchor text ratio average of the top 5. So I'm going to repeat that statement again. 80% of the time for local search queries, local search terms, the average anchor text ratio of the top 5 ranked competitors is between 40 to 60% brand anchors. So that's the only rule of thumb that I can say with confidence that I can suggest, is that if you are ever in doubt as to what kind of anchor text link to build directly to the money site, doesn't matter which page or post it is, where you're building the link to on the money site, whether it's the home page or an inner page, it doesn't matter. If you question or you ever have any doubt as to what kind of anchor text to build, just build a brand anchor. Full stop, right? That's the easiest thing to do. I've never seen a site penalized for over optimized or for brand anchors. I've seen a site penalized for too many links or too many links too quickly, so link velocity, or for shitty links, but I've not seen an over optimized penalty for brand anchors. Does that make sense? So again, the only rule of thumb that I can ever suggest is, whenever in doubt about what kind of anchor text to build directly to the money site, no matter where it is on the money site, go with a brand anchor. I don't like to build URL anchors anymore, guys, because anchor text should be descriptive of what it's linking to, what the destination is. And URL anchors aren't really descriptive of what it's linking to. So I don't like to build URL anchors. Not only that, but in natural link profile, you're going to pick up URL anchors, and you're also going to pick up miscellaneous anchors. That's this red. Miscellaneous, another term for that, generic. So click here, learn more, website, etc. When you build citations for local projects, almost exclusively all of the links that you get from citations are going to be either URL anchors, or they're going to be generic or miscellaneous anchors, right? When you do Google business posts and you link to your money site, the CTA button, you said call or learn more or book. If you have a button, a link, button that links, that connects to a link, those are generic anchors or miscellaneous anchors. So naturally, you're going to accrue miscellaneous anchors anyway. You should. Naturally, you're going to accrue URL anchors to a degree. So I don't build URL anchors or miscellaneous or generic anchors intentionally anymore at all. I always use anchor text anchors, and I use brand name or compound anchors, which is brand plus keyword, brand plus location modifier, etc. But I build, again, almost exclusively, and here is one other thing I can mention. So just back to what I was saying, and then I'll show you the diagram, and then we're going to move on to the next question. The smartest way to determine what the appropriate anchor text ratios are for whatever project it is you're working on is go analyze the top ranked competitors and go through the process that I just described here. Again, you want a copy of this workbook, come join the mastermind. I'll give it to you. I've done training like several times. I've done training on exactly how to get all of this data and what to do with it. So, but what I was going to say was, and no matter what search query it is that you want to rank for, just look at the top ranked competitors. Use Google's own data to determine what the proper anchor text ratios should be. Does that make sense? And again, remember this, you don't have to get exact to these numbers, guys. These are just an average. You just want to get close. What this is telling me is that I should be heavy on brand anchors, which is almost always the case. But then you can see that there's 9% target anchors, 5% topic anchors, 7% embeds or iframes, empty/frame anchors, and 36% miscellaneous. Again, I do not build miscellaneous anchors, period. Anywhere, I don't do it. Not intentionally. Like if I'm placing the link, I'm going to build an anchor text link. right? So a keyword or brand or something. If I'm building citations or getting citations built, things like that, they're naturally going to have miscellaneous anchors. So even like press releases, people talk about in press releases, use a brand anchor, or press releases, use a URL anchor. The way that I do everything is I think anchor text should be descriptive of what it is linking to. So I don't like to use URL anchors. And by the way, I don't like to use press releases to link directly to the money site at all anymore. I've talked about that a lot lately too. I always use the Google business posts as a buffer to the money site for press releases. So just use Google's own data, guys. It's one of the best things you can do. Like, in my opinion, it's just like, think about all those page optimizing tools, guys, that I'm looking for a diagram here for you guys. Just give me a minute. All those page optimizing tools, what do? They analyze the top ranked results, and they, crunch all that data. And then they tell you there's this many head H1s and this many, or is it, it'll tell you how many H1s, but there should only be one. There's this many H2s. There's this many H3s. There's this many words, an average number of words. There's this many entities, depending on what kind of page optimizing tool you're using. I like to use on-page.ai now, which is Eric Lancheraz's tool. That's probably my favorite tool right now. It tells you the number of entities, the word count, number of heading tags, number of images, all of that kind of stuff. Well, we've all been using those kind of tools now for the last couple of years. So why not do the same thing with backlinks when you're trying to figure out what your anchor text ratios should be? Use the same kind of methodology, which is look at the data, look at the currently ranked stuff, analyze that, and now you've got your anchor text ratios. So here's an example of a local link building diagram that just kind of explains what I just mentioned. I do tiered link building. And so at tier 1, linking to the 3 tier 0 assets, I always recommend brand/URL. Again, I specifically just build brand anchors. I don't build URL anchors. I build brand anchors. Embeds, to a lesser degree, you can do that too. Those aren't harmful, but you got to be careful when you're doing an embed of the money site. I don't like to do embeds of the money site because sometimes, depending on the link source, the link can overpower or cannibalize the money site when the money site's embedded into that page. I've seen it happen. So again, I do a lot of Google business website embeds and Google map embeds, but for the money site, we rarely do embeds at all. We do anchor text links. Okay. So at tier 1, we focus mainly on brand anchors and embeds for the Google business website and the Google map. I do very, very few, if any, URL anchors. At tier 2, we go real heavy on target anchors. This does not mean we do exclusively at tier 2 target anchors. This is, again, just a diagram, a representation. We go heavy on target anchors. Again, target anchors, keyword plus location modifier. At tier 3, but by the way, we do a mix of target and topic anchors at tier 2, but it's heavier on target anchors. Okay. At tier 3, if we get out to tier 3, it's almost exclusively topic anchors. So those are keywords without location modifiers. Does that make sense? So it's like a hierarchy, guys. If you ever looked at marketing funnel, right? There's top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. Top of funnel would be tier 3. Middle of funnel, what's more targeted, more specific, that's tier 2, right? Bottom of funnel is going to be the most specific. That's going to be your brand anchors. So if you think about it that way, you go broad and you start to narrow down as you get down to tier 1, which tier 1 primarily should be brand anchors. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. That was a good question, by the way. So there you go. Do not use formulas, guys. Create your own formula from Google's data. That's what this does, right? This is the formula for this particular search query, right? If we looked at tree removal in Winchester, right? That's going to probably, there might be some similarities, but it's going to be a different set of data. If we look at tree service, the same keyword, but a different city, let's say Richmond, Virginia, it's going to give us another set of data. So there should not be any, the only rule of thumb that I would ever consider saying is just, if ever in doubt, build a brand anchor, period. It doesn't matter where the link is pointing to on the money site. A brand anchor is your safest way to go. And again, 40 to 60% of the top 5 ranked competitors are, and 80% of the time, 40 to 60% of the anchor text ratios are in the brand/URL category. So it's your safest bet, right? Hey guys, what caused issues with my schema isn't the same everywhere. I have my money site schema all done in schema on my ID pages, but the ID page is a little out of date with less profiles, but overall same structure, organization and local business together. Also, should the canonical of the ID page be our money site? Yes, it should. Well, if you're doing anything spammy with your ID page, the canonical should be pointed probably to either your Google business website, if it's a local project, and I'm only going to assume that it is, or to the Google map, not the CID URL, but so what I'm saying, guys, is if you're doing anything spammy to the ID page, you don't want to be careful about what you canonicalize it to, because that's pushing the credit through that canonical to that whatever the target URL is for the canonical. Okay, does that make sense? So you have to be careful with that. But as far as the money site, like if your schema, think about this, guys. If you have your local business schema on your money site and you've got your money site embedded in your ID page, the schema is present in the ID page. You don't need to duplicate the schema in the HTML header of the ID page, because now you've got two instances of schema. When you, just so you know, if you have schema on your money site and your money site's embedded, iframed into your ID page, when you check your ID page in the schema validation tool, it's going to pull in that local business schema through the iframe anyway. So just keep your money site schema up to date and you should be good to go. Does that make sense? You can eliminate the schema in the ID page because it's being pulled in from your Google, from your main money site. Does that make sense? So you don't need to duplicate it, because if you duplicate it, now you've got two instances of local business schema on the page, because it's going to pull in the schema from the ID page and the schema from the money site. So now you've got two kind of like duplicate instances, and they might not be consistent. So the easiest way to do it is just keep your money site consistent, and then you don't have to worry about it, right? Anywhere you embedded it will be fine. Okay, so that's pretty good. Next one. Hey guys, how do you go about blog content for clients when you don't have niche experience? Just trying to plan out how I would handle revisions and how to charge, etc. So you're talking about selling blog content to clients? I'm not sure I understand the question, but as far as how do we handle clients if you're not a subject matter expert, how do you handle content development? Again, using tools. Tools can help you, because like we'll talk about a few tools. On-page.ai is probably my favorite tool right now. It's expensive, but it's a great tool. Another one that we use a lot for our writing team is called outranking.io. That's another great tool. But guys, there's a number of tools. They all do very similar things. The point is that these tools will go. Another great one that I like a lot, not so much for the writing part of it, but because of the keyword tool is fabulous. And the topic research, it's not writersend.com. I think it's .net. Yeah, .net. This tool is really, really good for what topic research and keyword research. It's my favorite keywords tool, but it also has the outline builder and AI writing assistant and everything built into it. So you can use writersend as your tool. So I've talked about outranking.io, writersend. The one that I'm using the most right now, me personally, that I use the most right now is onpage.ai. Again, Eric Lancheraz's tool. I freaking love this tool. It's fabulous. It's expensive, but it's a great tool. This has an AI writing assistant in it as well. So all of these tools, what they do is kind of what I just talked about with the backlink analysis, is they go out and scan the top 20 results for whatever search query, and it pulls in all that data, and it shows you this is how many H1 tags, this is, or an H2 and H3, and etc. How many images, an average number of words, the number of entities, the named, it shows, at least some of these tools shows what the named entities are. OnPage does, because it integrates with Google's NLP. So it shows the entities as well as the topical categories. This is why this is my favorite tool right now. So all of these can help you to draft content that is relevant to the topic, even if you're not a subject matter expert, because it's pulling in all the content that is top ranked for that particular search query. So you can only assume, and that's all you can do, unless you're a subject matter expert, you have to assume that the top ranked content for that search query is well done content, right? So it's accurate. It doesn't mean it is accurate, but you have to assume that if you're not a subject matter expert, and just use that data to then draft your own articles, if that makes sense. Another way to do it is you can curate. We for years and years, that's all we did. That's all I did for my agency, was for ongoing content production for clients for blog posts and such. We would do curated content, which is going out and borrowing content from subject matter experts and then borrowing sections and then curating it into what's called a curated post, which a curated post is where you literally are taking snippets of other people's content and posting that with commentary in between, your own commentary, which makes it unique. And you always provide attribution when you're going to curate other people's content. You always provide attribution to the source. You cite the source, just like you were writing a paper in school. You have to cite the source, CITE, the source, right? So with content curation, you don't need to be a subject matter expert because you are using other people's content that are subject matter experts. And all you're doing is injecting commentary in between snippets of content that you borrow from other people. But again, always cite the source, give attribution to give credit to where the credit is due. Okay. So again, using these kind of tools, guys, just pick one, pick your poison, right? Outranking is a great tool. They have some things on here called First Draft, which can draft a fantastic article, like the structure and like flesh it out and everything using data that it pulled in from the top 20 search queries for whatever term it is that you're optimizing for. So it uses GPT-3, right? The same kind of AI writing assistance that almost every tool out there is built on now. But what it does is it confines, like if you've ever tried any of these AI writing tools, like Jasper, for example, I use the shit out of Jasper. My link building team uses that a lot, like a lot. But Jasper is very general. You have to really restrict Jasper through instructions on, like, you have to put guardrails up and you have to be very specific about instructions to keep Jasper writing on topic and not pulling in a bunch of junk. And then you have to fact check things that Jasper spits out. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, jasper.ai. It's a great tool for, and you see that on my, I've got it right here. I use Jasper a lot. Anyway, but what I like about, Jesus Christ, I keep getting fucking calls and people beating on my door. So guys, give me a minute.
You need to check it.
Yeah, just give me a second, guys. All right, sorry about that. I'm back.
Sweet.
All right, let me grab the screen again. We'll finish this up. So anyways, what I was saying, guys, with content, with something like outranking, it's very good about keeping, like, it directs the GPT-3 to use the data input from the top 20 search results to direct the output, if that makes sense. So it automatically applies guardrails to, like, unlike Jasper, where you have to constantly give it instructions to keep it, on topic. This is much better. And again, I use Jasper all the time. I'm not talking bad about it. It's just a different type of writing tool. Something like this is more designed for developing content that you might not be a subject matter expert on, that doesn't require near as much fact checking or anything else, because it's only using the data as input from the top 20 search results, which you can assume are factually accurate, right? So anyway, there's a lot of tools out there that can help you to produce content on topic that you're not a subject matter expert for. Okay. By the way, like I said, Writer Zen is fantastic for topic and keyword research. It's good for building outlines, and it's got an AI writing assistant in it as well. But I use primarily the topic and keyword research in here in this one. All right, next one. Hey, SM, what's a great, simple to maintain CTR service for us agencies who want to rank a client YouTube videos? Also, what's your recommendations besides CTR for YouTube rankings? Well, for YouTube, that's the only one that I know of for YouTube, honestly, because I don't do a lot of YouTube stuff, would be Viper Tools, which is Michael Bowe's tools. Viper Tools has a YouTube Viper is what it's called, or Video Viper. So that's a good one for that. I don't really do a lot of YouTube stuff. So I can't really answer that. What I would suggest with YouTube though, other than just CTR, which again, the only one I know of is Viper Tools, is buy Google ads for YouTube, right? That's the best in my opinion for YouTube, because it's so dirt cheap to buy traffic from Google ads for YouTube. It's incredibly cheap, number one, but you're buying real engagement from real Google users. Does that make sense? So that's why I for years I've been saying that, guys. I use CTR all the time for my agency and for my own lead gen stuff and everything else. I use CTR stuff all the time. But for YouTube specifically, why not just buy the traffic directly from Google? Buy real YouTube users instead of spoofing it through CTR bots. It's very inexpensive. It's easy to set up. And now you're buying real traffic, like from real Google users. So it's weighted heavier, right? Because Google knows those are real Google users, number one. And number two, if you set your audience targeting up, your segments up properly, that some of that traffic will convert. I mean that, like if you're doing local, for example, you can set geographic radius targeting so that only people within a specific geographic area are going to even see the ad. So now you're getting clicks from Google users that are in that same geographic area. So that's good for local, number one. But also if you set your audience targeting, like your segments up properly, you can set up your own custom segments where you can use like search queries and stuff that the audience that you want Google to create has searched for recently, for example, or you can select predefined audiences such as in-market segments or life event segments. These are segments that Google, like predefined audiences that Google has already placed users in because it has determined that they have an interest in something. So like an in-market audience, there's like lawn and garden services, for example, right? An in-market audience. That means those are people that an audience that you can buy access to that Google has already determined are in the market for lawn and garden services, right? So that, again, for tree service stuff, that's a good audience to use. And then you can layer geographic targeting on top of that to where now all of the clicks, if you were trying to do YouTube promotions for a tree service contractor, all the clicks are coming from a specific geographic area from users that Google has already determined are interested or in the market for lawn and garden services. Does that make sense? So those, in my opinion, those is so much better. That's why I haven't done a lot of CTR stuff with YouTube, because anytime I'm trying to optimize for YouTube, I just buy traffic from Google directly. It's very inexpensive. You can set up YouTube campaigns for, I'm not kidding. I've got YouTube campaigns that I set up for clients that run on 50 cents a day. That's $15 per month. Think about that. And it works. It works great. So, engagement. YouTube is almost entirely engagement now, guys. I'm sure that you can still rank stuff by just brute force like backlinks and everything else, but you can rank with 0 backlinks on YouTube. Now, to rank a YouTube video on Google, that's different, right? It's engagement plus all the kind of traditional SEO signals. But to rank a video on YouTube, there's on-page optimization, so titles, description, and tags. Tags are very, very important. And then engagement signals. Those are the most important things to rank in YouTube. On-page optimization and engagement signals. That's it. Those two things will rank you in YouTube. Outside of YouTube and Google, it's all the traditional stuff, including engagement signals. Okay. Hey guys, I've recently taken over a client site from another SEO company. Their backlink profile is a mess with a ton of spammy, non-relevant blog comments linked pointing to the homepage. What action would you take in order to tidy this up against competitors who are ranking internal location pages with none to minimal external links? Cheers. Start disavowing. I mean, I know there's a lot of people in this industry that say that they will never disavow a link. I get that, but I've never had any issues with it. I've recovered sites that have been penalized by disavowing. And honestly, because of what I do now with topically relevant links, I disavow shitty links because they're not helpful. They're harmful. If they're not helping, I consider them harmful. Right. So I've never had any issues with it. I know that there's competing opinions or different opinions on whether you should ever disavow anything or not. The way I look at it is if you are going out and disavowing shitty, non-relevant links, that's a signal to Google that you're trying to clean up a mess. Like that's, in my opinion, a positive signal. That's my opinion, guys. I know there's different opinions out there, but you asked, I just gave you my opinion. I'm not saying mine's 100% right. I'm just saying I have in the past many times disavowed links and seen rankings recover because I disavowed shitty links. Okay. The only other way to do it is to have, try to do outreach to all those spammy sites and ask them to take the links down. Good luck with that. Who's got time for that? I'd rather just collect all my links into a text file. You can either disavow by domain or by specific URL. And then you go submit that, which is just a text file, TXT file. You go submit it to Google. And then the trick is once you submit a disavow file is then take that list of URLs or domains or a mix of both and submit it to an indexing service. Why would you want to submit disavow links to an indexing service? Because once you submit the disavow file to Google, you want the Google bot to come crawl those links again, and then it cross-references the disavow file and recognizes, okay, that should be discounted, like just removed from the backlink profile. Now, the backlink analysis tools are still going to show those links, but you will see them analyze your external links, export your external links from Search Console, right? And that's how you can compare it, because Ahrefs and Majestic and all the other backlink analysis tools, when you disavow links, that doesn't mean that they drop out of the backlink analysis tools. They don't. They're still, if they're on the web, they're still being crawled and found by those analysis tools, right? But Google will just you can tell Google, I want you to ignore these links. So that's why I'm saying when you add a disavow file, first of all, after submitting disavow file, go submit that same file to an indexing service to get the Google bot to come crawl those links again. And then it will reference the file and say, okay, we're supposed to ignore this. And you'll start to see them come off of your Search Console when you export your external link profile. You'll see them starting to drop out of your link profile, but they'll still show in the backlink analysis tools. Okay, so don't let that confuse you, because I've heard that many times. Like, but I've been disavowing and an Ahrefs is still showing all these links. Well, yeah, because you didn't disavow them to Ahrefs, you disavowed them to Google, right? As long as they're on the web, they can still be crawled and found by the other tools. Okay, you're just telling Google, ignore these links. Okay. How would you go about managing lots of social profiles and YouTube channels for different projects and clients? Well, I mean, I don't know. I do manage a bunch of YouTube channels, but I just do that through the YouTube channel switcher, like through my own account, so a bunch of social profiles. The only thing that I use for managing social profiles is called OneUp app right here. I'm probably logged in. So let me go into another browser and I'll show you that there. This is the one that we use because all we really do is Google business posts. And that's it. And to a lesser degree, in some cases, we do Facebook posting too, but this is the only social media post scheduler that I do. We don't do, I'm in the home service, I'm in the tree service industry. And to a lesser degree, I've got some legacy clients that are other types of contractors, but social media marketing does not generate leads for contractors. At least in my experience, it doesn't. So we don't focus on social media marketing. So this suffices for me for what we need. This works really, really well because we mainly focus on Google business posts. And like I said, to a lesser degree, sometimes Facebook page posts, and that's it. And this works really good. Okay. So that's what I use. Is there a way to get expired YouTube channels we can register? I have no idea. I've never tried that. That sounds great. I don't know. I don't know that you can do it. Will it help if we upload videos through instead of a fresh channel? Again, I don't know that you can claim like old channels. I don't know the process for that. Sorry. I wish I could help you. I have no experience with that whatsoever. How would you approach ranking a blogger site quickly to use for demonstrating rankability? Spam the shit out of it. Now, I talk about, guys, I don't use bulk spam for anything, but Blogger is one of those sites that you can do that with. In fact, I'll share with you a gig that works really well for spam, and it's 100% blog comment spam. It's pure spam, but Blogger is one of those sites that you can do that with. You can throw this kind of spam at, and it will rank. So go to Fiverr and I'll show you. Whoops, that's one up Fiverr. That's not what I was looking for. The guy's name, the username on Fiverr is up to top. But let me sign in and I'll show you. Give me a minute while I get logged in, guys. I'll give you the exact gig that you can use for that. If I can
don't use them on your money sites.
Yeah, do never use these on your money sites, guys. This is purely, and in fact, I would not recommend, if you're going to spam a blogger, to rank a blogger, do not link to a money site from that blogger. That's very important. You want this as a standalone asset if you're going to do that, right? And so anyway, let me just give me a second. Right there. All right, here we go. All right, so this is it. This is the, I'm going to grab this link, guys, and I'll put this in chat.
My God, this is really,
oh,
like
it's ridiculous.
Man.
This is ridiculous. You get 25,000 blog comments for $5, but get the upgrade. The upgrade is right there, 60,000 blog comments for an additional $10. So it comes out to be 15. And I think with the fees, it's like $17.50, but they're delivered. And if you want it delivered in one day, so you get, it's well over 60,000. In fact, because I've used this a number of times for spamming stuff. Another one that I use this for is spamming a patch.com classified announcement post, and it will rank within 30 days. Almost every time it will rank using this exact same gig. And sometimes it'll have over 100,000 blog comment links in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. Like, you deliver the gig, but it will still start, it will continue to accrue more and more blog comment links. And it's total spam, guys. But again, for patch.com classified announcement posts, it works really well. And also I've done it with Blogger, specifically with Blogger as well. And again, the 60, so whether you have the extra fast or not, it's like $15 plus their fee, which I think is whatever. It's like $2.50, whatever. It's like $17 and $18 for this gig, and it will rank. Pick a term that is a little bit less competitive. Optimize a Blogger blog or a patch.com post, as I mentioned. Optimize it, put well-tuned content, all that kind of, do all the kind of traditional on-page stuff, and then just hammer it with these. And guys, for your anchor text ratios, I go with just straight up a mix of brand and target anchors. So back to the diagram, remember what target anchors are? Target anchors are keyword plus location modifier, if it's for local, which I can only assume it is. But we just do them. We do about 10, maybe 15% brand anchors, and then mostly all target anchors and a few topic anchors mixed in. So you don't need a whole lot of keywords. I know it's a shit. Remember, you're going to be targeting one specific keyword for whatever it is you're trying to rank. So all you want to do is take variants of that keyword, and that becomes your anchor text that you submit with this gig. So anyways, I know I said I was going to drop this on the page and I didn't, and we're going to run out of time, but this is the Fiverr gig. Again, pure spam, guys. I never recommend pointing this to anything that's even going to touch your money site. Let's try that again. But I've used this gig dozens of times and it works. Okay. Only for, like I said, Blogger or a patch.com classified announcement post ranks really well too. All right, next. Okay. What's the benefit of buying CTR signals instead of running ads to my site? Well, I always recommend doing both. I just mentioned this previously about YouTube. When you're buying traffic from ads, you don't have control over what they do when they land on the page, right? All you can do is buy the click to the page with an ad. But there's, again, what I just talked about with YouTube is true. When you're buying, if you're buying at like Google Display Network traffic, you can do that very inexpensively. You can set geographic targeting. You can set audience segments, all of that. So when you're buying traffic from Google Ads using the display network, you can do it with search too, but you're going to pay a lot per click. You can do display network clicks for pennies. Seriously. So I do both. I do CTR, but I also buy traffic from Google, because that traffic that you're buying from Google is real Google users. Like, that's how you're buying that traffic from Google, because they're Google users. And again, you can set audience segments, you can set geographic targeting, all of that. So those clicks are weighted heavier than the CTR clicks, which are bot clicks. But the problem, and it's not a problem, it's just a different type of traffic, right? That those clicks are weighted heavier because they're real Google users with real profiles, real histories, all of that. But you can't control what the traffic does once they click. All you're doing is buying the click, right? With the CTR tools, you can oftentimes control how many pages they're going to click on once they land on the target, how long they dwell. You know, you can, in some cases, you can actually specify certain actions that you want it to take. So you have some control, limited, but some control as to what the bot does after it lands on your target URL. With ad traffic, you can't. You have no control over it. All you can do is buy the click. But that click is weighted heavy because it's a Google user, right? So I do both. I recommend doing both. Again, going back to what I was saying with YouTube, same thing. I've got display network campaigns set up for clients that I set geographic targeting, audience segments, all of that. And, you know, I might, in some cases, you know, we might run 30 cents a day, which comes out to be about $9 a month, or $3.50 a day, which comes out to be just over $10 a month. Does that make sense? So very inexpensive. And it works. It's just an augment to CTR stuff. How do you find a ranking service area GBP versus, how do you find ranking a service area GBP versus a GBP with an actual address? Any ranking tips for service area GBP? Thank you. Yeah, we know that if you publish the address, it will rank better, but that's against Google's terms of service. So you got to be careful about that. I still have a ton of my own assets out there that are service area businesses that I do not publish the address for, because also, unless it's a real valid address, you can potentially get your account suspended or your location suspended. Like if you've got a lead gen asset with a fake address, or it's, you know, like a PO box or a UPS store or something like that, and then you publish the address, well, now it can very clearly be seen that it's registered at an address that's non-compliant with Google's terms of service, and then your competitors can report it and have it suspended. So you got to be careful about all that. We know for a fact that if you publish the address, even for service area businesses, it tends to rank better. That's proven. We've seen lots of data about that, but I still have a number of service area businesses that I do not publish the address on. You got to be careful about it. So any ranking tips for service area GBP? Yeah, the best thing you can do for ranking a service area GBP with an unpublished address is force Google to recognize that that company does indeed provide those products or services in that service area. How do you do that? With geotagged images and not spoofed images, although that works. It's a lot more difficult. Talking about, and I've mentioned this many times before, and we're over time, guys. I got to wrap it up. But if you can get, like, for example, with a tree service contractor or any sort of kind of contractor that's a service area business, they're going to have technicians to go out into the field, whether they're, you know, pest control guys or plumbers or HVAC, whatever. You got to train the staff to go out and snap a few photos from their phone with location settings on, right? GPS enabled on their phone, which almost everybody in the world has now. But if they just take photos and then go to the Google Maps and upload a photo to the Google Business profile, they don't have to be a manager. They don't have to have the Google Business app or any of that. All they got to do is go to Google Maps, which everybody has on their phone, and upload photos that they took on site, because that geo data, that geo metadata, is all embedded in it's part of the photo. So if you can train the technician, and I'm telling you all this, guys, and 95% of my clients won't do it, no matter how many times I try to get them to do it. Tell them, guys, just teach your technicians to just, on every job they go out on, snap 2 to 3 photos. That's it. It takes literally 30 seconds to snap 2 to 3 photos, go to the Google Maps app and upload those photos to the Google Business profile. You don't need manager access for that. Consumers can do that, right? So you just go and upload. And as you do that, that geo data, especially for service area businesses, one and done isn't going to do it. Like if you just upload some photos one time from being on location, that's not going to have any influence on the map at all. But if you do it consistently, right? Let's say they're doing 5 tree jobs a week, and on every single job, they go out and they take 2 to 3 snapshots or a quick short video, and they upload it directly to the Google Map, right? From on location. And they don't even have to do it on location. They can upload it later when they get home, and it still has all that geo data imprinted on it. If you do that consistently, Google will start to expand the coverage on the map, because you're telling Google with data that you indeed, or the company indeed, does provide services in those areas. So that is by far the best thing that you can do. But again, you have to train your clients to do that. And it's very difficult to get them to do it. I don't know why. I don't like, help me help you. You know what I mean? Jerry Maguire, help me help you. I've said that to my clients before, like, help me help you, right? Like, if you just train your client, your technicians to go out in the field, snap 2 to 3 photos, get in a habit, develop the habit, you will have significant impact on your ability to rank in Google Maps. But good luck trying to get them to do it. I failed miserably at that. So, all right, guys, I'm sorry I didn't get through all of them, but I got through most of them. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you all next week.